Coming up on the Paper Talk today, all the talk is of the manager's future. What is happening with Ruben Amorim? Also, several managers getting linked with the Old Trafford job if Ruben Amorim was to get sacked. Let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and it's pretty sunny, but it's a little bit cold, so you might need a coat of some description. Maybe not your Parkers. Loads of stories to get into, so we will do. Before we do, though, make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe, and go and check out the merchandise we've got available. Paddock merch is available. There's a link in the description. As you would expect, the vast majority, if not all of the stories this morning and over the weekend following the defeat to Brentford are focusing on the future of Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. How much pressure is he under? Is he going to walk? Is he going to get sacked? What is the feeling amongst the Manchester United hierarchy around Ruben Amorim? It has been an absolute terrible time for Amorim as Manchester United manager. There's no point in sugarcoating it. This is our worst start to a Premier League season, I think, since the Premier League began. Yet another defeat. We've still not got back-to-back Premier League wins in the Premier League wins under Ruben Amorim. I mean, it is just, the stats speak for themselves. I think it's 17 losses in 33 games. Absolutely woeful. Now, that doesn't mean, despite all that, that Ruben Amorim is going to get sacked. And a lot of the noises, a lot of the reports are that as it stands right now, his job is relatively safe. I say relatively because things can change and we don't know what the future entails, but it does seem as though he isn't likely to get sacked anytime soon. There's a few reasons for that, and there's a few different reports doing the rounds. There was a report, I think, in the Mail. I think Chris Wheeler was saying that if Manchester United were to sack Ruben Amorim before the 1st of November, that would be within a year of his contract, within a year of him signing for Manchester United as the manager, then we'd have to pay him, I think, 12 million quid. So that is one reason Ineos don't want to sack him before then, because it's, you know, it costs money, extra money than if you waited a little while. If you wait a few weeks, you save yourself some money. And also the optics aren't great either. You've sacked a manager within a year, it's not good. So that would mean if he were to get sacked after that period, I think Forest away is on the 1st of November. You've got Brighton at home on the 25th of October. I think that's the run of games, is it? So around that time, maybe Forest away would be his last game. If he lost that, maybe there'd be a decision to be made then. I don't know. We just know it isn't quite working. And a lot of people are saying the same thing. Gary Neville has spoken about it on his recent podcast. Wayne Rooney has said it on his podcast, and these are United legends, and they're all saying the same thing. They're saying, I'm paraphrasing, but basically it isn't working. They don't know if he's going to turn it around. They don't think he will. It's not acceptable. It isn't good enough. It isn't just on the manager. I think everyone can agree. Players have to take responsibility. The hierarchy have to take responsibility. But there's no denying that for whatever reason you want to give right now, this club, this team at Manchester United isn't working and it isn't good enough, and something needs to change, something needs to be done about it. Now, whether that is a new manager remains to be seen, but we are getting to that stage now where you feel it's critical. You feel we're at a junction now where, yes, we're still early on in the season, I get that, and we have had a couple of wins, but when you're knocked out of the Carabao Cup, when you still haven't put back-to-back wins together, when you've lost to Manchester City, you've lost to Arsenal, which is kind of forgivable, even though it's not great, but then you've lost to Brentford as well, it's not good enough. It isn't. And there's a lot of noise circling around Ruben Amorim at the minute in terms of his future. And this isn't me being melodramatic or trying to stoke fires that aren't there. It's obvious. Just Google Ruben Amorim, Google Manchester United, look at any newspaper when it comes to Manchester United, and all the talk is around the manager's future. And you can understand why. Now, just in that vein, there's several managers getting linked to the managerial job at Manchester United. We've seen reports of different managers being interested in the job, different managers being considered for the job. Xavi was linked with a job, and I think it was Fabrizio Romano has said that Xavi would be willing to come to Manchester United, that he'd be up for coming to Manchester United if the job was offered, that he wants to work in the Premier League. I think he's 45 years old, had some success at Barcelona, had loads of success as a player, by the way. Absolutely smashed it as a player, but as a manager, I think did he win La Liga and the Cup there, but obviously didn't quite work out the way he wanted. Could he be coming in to succeed Ruben Amorim if the board decides to pull the trigger? Potentially. There's also been rumours, reports, I think TalkSport have it. It's up to you whether you want to take that with a pinch of salt. But to be fair, the TalkSport talk about this 3-man shortlist. I think of it, Oliver Glasner and Gareth Southgate. Now, they're not the only ones reporting, especially when it comes to Glasner and Areola. We're hearing quite a lot of that. So that is something that's being reported elsewhere. The Gareth Southgate one, we always have these Gareth Southgate rumours, don't we? It's like every time a manager recently gets sacked, which unfortunately happens sort of almost at least once every 2 years, then Gareth Southgate is looked at as a potential successor. My attitude towards Gareth Southgate hasn't changed. I don't think Gareth Southgate should be managing Manchester United. I don't think having some success with England and getting to 2 finals and a semi-final, which is successful for an England manager, if we're being honest, is enough to make you experienced enough, tactically astute enough to manage Manchester United. Managing Manchester United is completely different to managing an international team, even an England one, or even England, not England one. There is only England one, England. And if you look at Gareth Southgate's record as a club manager, he got relegated with Middlesbrough and then got sacked, and that was what, 13 years ago, whenever it was. I don't think he's ready or good enough or experienced in club football enough to be managing Manchester United. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let me know what you think. Do you think Gareth Southgate, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, is the right man for the job? Do you think Xavi? Do you think Glasner? Do you think Areola? Glasner's the one that a lot of people are looking at. I've seen a lot of noise around him on social media just because of, well, he likes to play free at the back. The formation isn't that dissimilar from what we do at Manchester United. He just does it a lot better. But even if you forget the formation and the tactics, look at his record. I think they're 18 games unbeaten now, Crystal Palace. They won the FA Cup against Manchester City. They won the Charity Shield as well, the Community Shield, against Liverpool. Like, you can't just ignore that. These are, I'm not saying the Community Shield is a huge trophy. I mean, David Moyes won it here. I don't really count it as a trophy. But when you look at it as part of a bigger picture, his record is fantastic. Considering as well, he's lost some key players. It wasn't that long ago they lost Eze to Arsenal, and they've just sort of lost one of the best players and just carried on winning football matches and carried on doing very well. And they did very well at the weekend, of course, getting that big win over Liverpool. So you can understand why Glasner's being looked at. You can understand why some of the other names are being mentioned. One name, right, and I'm going to mention this. I like to have a story that I say, of all the things that isn't going to happen, this isn't going to happen the most. And that is Graham Potter to Manchester United. The BBC, who should be ashamed of themselves, had this as part of their gossip column, right, which covers a multitude of sins, doesn't it? Oh, it's gossip. Well, in other words, it's drivel. Yesterday, and they ran with it as a tweet of like Graham Potter linked with the Manchester United job, and I was like, what? Surely not. And the answer is yeah, surely not. It ain't happening. And when I look where the story had come from, it come from Fihages. That publication is banned on this channel from being used as a news source because they just make stuff up constantly. Sometimes they might get it right, because if you make up 100 stories, one of them, just by the law of averages, actually turn out to be true. But that's just by luck, not by design. They're completely irrelevant, and we should not be using them as a source. And the BBC should not be using them as a source. And they certainly shouldn't be putting out tweets saying Graham Potter's linked with the Manchester United job. Graham Potter has just been sacked as the West Ham boss. You don't get sacked as the West Ham manager and then walk into the Manchester United job as well. That just doesn't happen. And I think actually the problem for Ruben Amorim is Graham Potter's record at West Ham was very similar to Ruben Amorim's at Manchester United. I might be getting this wrong. I think Ruben Amorim's got 27 points or something. Graham Potter had 26. So I might be getting that wrong, but it's very, very similar when I read the stats. And it's that, again, doesn't make for good reading, does it, if you're Ruben Amorim? We'll have to wait and see what happens. We've got another big game coming up, Sunderland, this weekend here. Then we've got the small matter of a trip to Anfield. Those 2 games could prove pivotal for Ruben Amorim, and if he doesn't succeed, if he does end up getting sacked, if Ineos do go, look, he's had a year now, we can pay him out without having to pay as much compensation, then maybe it will be someone like Xavi, maybe it'll be Areola, maybe it'll be Oliver Glasner who comes in. Get involved in the chat in the comments, let us know what you think. Going to be back later on with the Paddock podcast, where no doubt we'll be talking about the Brentford game, we'll talk about Ruben Amorim's future, we'll talk about all that jazz, so make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe. Go and check out as well the Paddock store. There's a link in the description there. I've been Jay Motti outside a pretty sunny Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.